this video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet these super cute little Halloween ghosts. They're very quick and easy to make. They're incredibly sweet and they have the benefit of being able to freely stand. You can pose them by folding up their little sheet. I originally designed these to be keychains, but they were just too cute when I placed them on the mantelpiece, so now they get to be standalone little Ami ghost figures. You're going to need some white yarn. I'm using the DIY Glow Lion brand yarn. It has a sort of very cotton-like feeling, which gives a lovely stitch definition, which you can see on this little chap. If you don't have any glow-in-the-dark yarn, don't worry. You can use a normal white acrylic yarn and it works perfectly as well. You're going to need some 6mm safety eyes. A stitch marker will be useful, especially as we're working with white yarn. A pair of scissors, a 4mm crochet hook, or whatever hook size is appropriate for your choice of yarn. You don't need to worry too much, as these guys are just little ghosts and they are wearing a sheet. We don't need to worry about going down a hook size like you would for normal amigurumi, because ghosts are meant to be see-through, so you don't need to worry as much about having super tight stitches. You're going to need a large eye needle for weaving in those ends. You're going to need a scrap of black and a scrap of pink yarn if you wanted to do a little smiley face and blushy cheeks. And then you're going to need a really small amount of stuffing. Our little ghosts are made up of two parts. They have a little tiny head inside for structure, and then they have their little ghostly sheet. We're going to begin by making the sheet first. We're going to start with a magic ring. And now I always like to chain one after I've made that magic ring. Now into the magic ring, we're going to make 6 single crochet stitches, and I'm going to mark the very first one I made with a stitch marker. So that's 1. I need 5 more for a total of 6. That was my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now you can go ahead and tighten up that magic ring at the back. And for round 2, we're going to begin by working into that very first stitch that we marked. So remove your stitch marker. And round 2 is an increase round. Now an increase simply means 2 single crochet stitches into the same place. So we have 6 single crochet stitches in this first round, and in the next round we're going to work 2 single crochets into each of these stitches, which means by the end of round 2 we will have 12 stitches. So we're going to work an increase into each of these 6 stitches. So into this very first stitch, this one's always the toughest to get into, I'm going to work 1 single crochet and then another single crochet into the same place. That's my increase. I'm also going to mark that very first single crochet that I just made, 1 and 2, so I don't lose it when I come back round. So into the next stitch, work an increase, just 2 single crochets into the same spot. 1 and 2. Then into the next stitch, the same again, 2 single crochet, so an increase. We're going to work this into each stitch all the way round until we have a total of 12 stitches. 1 and 2. That is my increase. 1 and 2. That's an increase. And then into this very last stitch, doing the same thing, working my increase. So you should have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For round 3, work 1 single crochet into that first stitch and then mark it with your stitch marker. Then into the next stitch, we're going to work an increase. So 2 single crochets into the same place. We're going to work that little sequence all the way around. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then increase in the one after that. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, then followed by an increase. At the end of round 3, you will have 18 stitches in total. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, followed by an increase in the stitch after that. Keep working this all the way around. For round 4, we're going to work 1 single crochet in that very first stitch and mark it. Then 1 single crochet into the next. So we started with 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then make an increase in the next stitch. We're going to repeat this sequence all the way round. 1 single crochet, followed by another single crochet into the next stitch, so 1 and 2, and then increase into that third stitch. Single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. I'm going to work this all the way around, and we will have a total of 24 stitches at the end of round 4. So single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. For round 5, it's a nice simple round. We're simply going to work 1 single crochet into all of those 24 stitches that we just made. So no increases for this round, just 1 single crochet in each. Make the first single crochet of the round, pop your stitch marker into it so you don't lose it. It's really easy to lose count when you are making amigurumi. Then just work 1 single crochet into each of the remaining 23 stitches. For round 6, we're going to do the exact same thing again. 1 single crochet into each of those 24 stitches, remembering to pop a stitch marker into that very first one that you make. For round 7, we're going to begin by placing 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches. So I'm going to work my first single crochet and then pop a stitch marker in. So that's 1. I need 5 in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then into the 6th stitch, we're going to work an increase. So 2 single crochet into that same spot. We're going to do that 3 more times. 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then increase into the next. Single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then increase in the next. Then one more time, 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then increase into your very last stitch of the round. You will have a total of 28 stitches at the end of round 7. Your work should also now be sort of curving in. That's fine. That's exactly what we want to have happen. For round 8, it's a nice simple one. We're simply going to work 1 single crochet into each of those 28 stitches that we just made. So make your first single crochet, mark it with your stitch marker, and then work 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around. No increases or anything, just a straight single crochet into each stitch. For round 9, we're going to do the exact same thing again. 1 single crochet into each of those 28 stitches, remembering to mark that very first stitch that you make of this round. So same again, all the way around, 1 single crochet into each stitch. For round 10, we're going to start by working 1 single crochet into the first 6 stitches. Remember to mark the very first one that you make. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then work an increase into the next stitch. So 2 single crochet into the same spot. We're going to repeat that 3 more times to complete this round. 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches, followed by an increase. You'll have 32 stitches at the end of this round. So single crochet into the next 6. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then increase. Do that 2 more times to complete the round. Now rounds 11 and 12, so the next 2 rounds, are simply working 1 single crochet into each of those 32 stitches. So we're going to go round once, and then we're going to go round again, just working 1 single crochet into each of these stitches. Remember to mark the very first single crochet of your round. You will have 32 stitches for each time you go round. Feel free to pause the video at this point. I'm going to go ahead and work rounds 11 and 12. Then I'll meet you back when you're ready to continue. So by the end of round 12, you should be looking like this. And for round 13, we're going to begin by working 1 single crochet into the first 7 stitches. So I'm working my first single crochet. I'm going to mark it with my stitch marker. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then work an increase into the next stitch, 1 and 2, right in there. You're going to repeat that 3 more times, and we'll have a total of 36 stitches by the end of round 13. So work 1 single crochet into the next 7 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, then work an increase into the stitch after that. Repeat that 2 more times to the end of the round. Single crochet into 7 stitches, then work an increase. For rounds 14 and 15, we're simply going to work 1 single crochet into each of those 36 stitches. So we're going to go round once, and then we're going to go round again for round 14 and 15. To work your first single crochet of the new round, mark it with a stitch marker. Then just work 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around for row 14 and then repeat that again for round 15. For round 16, we're going to work 1 single crochet into the first 5 stitches only. So that's 1, and I'm marking that first stitch with a stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then work an increase into the next stitch. So 1 and 2. We're going to repeat that little sequence all the way round for round 16. We'll have 42 stitches by the end of this round. Work 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then increase. Work that 4 more times. So 5 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then increase. Keep repeating that little sequence of 5 single crochet followed by an increase to the end of this round. You'll have a total of 42 stitches. For round 17, this one is the easiest round of them all. We're going to work 1 single crochet in the first stitch, then slip stitch into the next one. Then we're going to cut our yarn, leaving an end for weaving in, and we're going to pull that straight up and out. Now we're going to end this invisibly, so grab your large eye needle and thread that yarn end onto it. And then you can see your stitch here where we just slip stitched. Find the next stitch and go under both loops with your needle. Then we're going to bring this needle down through the center of the slip stitch that we just made. So I'm going to pull it just gently, and then I'm going to come straight down the center of the slip stitch to create a little invisible join. Then I'm going to turn my ghost sheet inside out. So my tail from a magic ring will now be on the outside. And I'm going to weave this end in by simply picking up the loops on the inside here. You can't see my needle poking through. Just pick up some of the loops and ensure your needle is not coming through on the front of the work. And we're just going to run this tail up a few stitches. Once you've woven your tail up, we can go ahead and snip that off. Turn your sheet the right way round and you should have a funny looking little cone shape like this. Pop that to one side, and now we're going to make the head of the ghost. So our little ghosts have a small head on the inside to provide some structure. This means if anybody grabs and crushes your new little friend, that's fine. He's still got a solid head in there to keep his shape. To begin the head, we're going to start with a magic ring. Chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch. Try and get your finger out the magic ring if you can. And then we're going to work 6 single crochet into the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now take a moment to just pop a stitch marker into that very first single crochet that you made, because when we pull that magic ring closed, it does scrunch up this first stitch a little bit. So it's nice and handy to be able to spot it. Then we can go ahead and we can tighten up our magic ring. For round 2, we're going to be working an increase round. So into the next 6 stitches, we're simply going to work an increase, which is 2 single crochet into the same stitch. Now this first one is always a bit tight to get into. Fighting it here, there we go. So that's 1 single crochet, and I'm working my second into that same stitch. Remember to mark the first stitch of your round. So that's 1, 2, my first increase made. I've got 5 stitches remaining, and I'm going to work an increase into each of those 5 stitches. So at the end of round 2, we will have 12 single crochet stitches in total. For round 3, we're going to start with a single crochet in the first stitch, then mark it with your stitch marker, then work an increase into the next stitch. We're going to repeat this little sequence all the way around. Single crochet in the next stitch, followed by an increase in the stitch after that. 1 single crochet, then increase. Work this all the way round for a total of 18 stitches made by the end of round 3. Now for rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, so the next 4 rounds, we're simply going to be working 1 single crochet into each of these 18 stitches as we go around. So we're going to do this 4 times. Now remember to mark the first stitch that you make in every round. So for round 4, I'm just working 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around, and then I'm going to do the exact same for round 5, round 6, and round 7, moving my stitch marker up each time. So here's how we should be looking at the end of round 7. Your work should be curving up into a ball shape, and the tail from your magic ring will be on the inside of your work. Now, if for some reason yours is looking like this and the tail from the magic ring is on the outside, all that means is your work's just accidentally flipped inside out. Just flip it around. Then you will have the right side facing out, and you'll have your magic ring tail inside. For round 8, we're going to start closing up this little head. So we're going to work 1 single crochet in the first stitch and mark it with your stitch marker. And then we are going to work a decrease. Now I am also going to be working an invisible decrease. And all a decrease is working 1 single crochet over 2 stitches. That way we are decreasing from 2 stitches down to 1. So to decrease, I'm going to pick up the front loop only. This is for an invisible decrease of the next stitch. And then I'm going to put my hook underneath the front loop only of the next stitch. So this is my working loop from the single crochet that I made. And then these 2 loops on my hook are the front loops of the next 2 single crochet stitches. Then I'm going to yarn over my hook and pull it through these front loops. So pull it through those 2 loops that we popped onto the hook by going underneath the stitches. Then I'm going to complete my single crochet as normal. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. So I have pulled through the front loops of those 2 stitches together to make just 1 stitch. Now find your next single crochet. It will be a very clear V shape from the top of the stitch. You can see these are the scrunched up bits where I just did my decrease. Find your next clear single crochet and work 1 single crochet into it. Then we're going to pick up the front loops of the next 2 stitches. I'm just putting my hook underneath them like so. Then work a single crochet. That is your invisible decrease. We're going to work this all the way around this round. We'll have 12 stitches in total at the end of round 8. So single crochet into the next stitch, then invisible decrease over the next 2. So we're just picking up the front loop of the next 2 stitches and then work your single crochet. So single crochet in the next stitch. Oh, my tail's getting in the way. Oh my gosh. So single crochet into the next stitch and then pick up the front loops of the next 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through those 2 front loops, and then complete your single crochet for your invisible decrease. Single crochet in the next stitch and then invisible decrease over the next 2. Single crochet in the next stitch, and then we'll have just 2 stitches remaining before our stitch marker. So we're picking up the front loop and then completing our single crochet. So at the end of round 8, you will have 12 stitches in total. Now pull that loop up nice and tall so we don't lose it, and take your hook out. Now we're going to grab a small amount of stuffing. You really don't need much at all. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to stuff this little ball. So I'm just popping stuffing in. You don't need to pop in too much, just enough that it holds its shape. We don't want to stretch and distort our stitches, although this will be hidden by the sheet of your ghost. So the little sheet he'll be wearing over the top. so you don't need to worry too much. This is just to provide a little bit of structure should anybody come along and crush your ghost. I'm just going to pop a tiny bit more in there, squish it in. Then you can pop that loop from your stitch back onto your hook. And as I work this next and final round, I'm going to put my finger on the stuffing and hold it down so it's out of my way as I'm crocheting the next round. Now for round 9, it is a decrease only round, which means we are simply going to pick up the front loops and do that invisible decrease that you learnt on the last round. We're going to do that over the next 12 stitches to decrease them down to make 6. So we're going to make 6 invisible decreases. So we're just going to pick up the front loops of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, come through those front loops, then complete your single crochet. That's 1. We don't need to mark any of these stitches. This is the very last round. We just need to count them. So that's 1. Then find your next 2 stitches. You can see here it gets a bit distorted from that decrease, so just find the next 2 clear stitches and work your second invisible decrease. So that's 2. Keep going around, find the next 2. That's decrease number 3. 4. 5. And 6. Now we're going to cut our yarn, but leave a little bit of a longer tail than you normally would, because we're going to use this to sew the head to the sheet of the ghost. So you just want to go ahead and pull that all the way out of those stitches, then grab your large eye needle, thread up the end, and we're going to run this needle under the front loop of all of these 6 stitches here, and then we're going to cinch it closed. So I'm just going to run my needle under the front loops of those 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then pull it tight and it will cinch everything closed. Now take your needle and we're going to pop it into right just down close to wherever your needle has finished here. I'm just picking this little gap here because it's nice and obvious, and then poke it through at the top of the ball in between the first and second round. So you can see your stitches here. We want to come out in between these 2 rounds of stitches. So we're just bringing that tail all the way through. And then we're going to assemble the ghost sheet to the head. Now with your ghost sheet, we're going to turn it inside out. So you will have the tail from your magic ring on the outside of the work here. With your needle still threaded up to the ball that we've just made, this head, we're going to take the sheet. You're going to find these stitches that you made on the very first row here. So we're aiming for that same spot. We're just looking at the inside of the work now. And after these 6 single crochet that we made on the first round, we're going to find a spot to pop the needle through. And then we're just going to pull it gently through. Now keep your magic tail from the ghost sheet separate. We're just going to pull it through. You don't need to pull it tightly. And then we're going to flip this back so we can see the top of the ghost sheet. Now I'm going to pop my needle through that central point on the ghost sheet. Now I've got my needle there. I'm just letting it all go loose as I bring my needle through. So this is coming from the ball, and now I'm coming back. Here is my tail from the magic ring of the sheet. I'm keeping that out of the way, and I'm just going to pull this through and gently pull it so it's snug. Then we're going to go into the top central point, the magic ring from the head section. I'm poking my needle through and I'm bringing it out at the bottom of that ball that we made. You don't need to be too precise. So you can see I've come from the head, through the sheet, back through and down to the bottom again. Then just gently pull it all nice and taut, but not wildly tight that you're distorting the shape of this head. Okay, you can release your needle from that one, and then we're going to find the tail from the sheet and we're going to thread this one up. Now for this one, we're simply going to go through one of these stitches close to the center point. So this here is where we've just brought the tail through. You can see that stitch there. Somewhere close to there, pop your needle in, and then you want to bring it out next to, or pretty darn close to, where you just brought out your other tail. So we're just threading that one through. So you will have both tails now pointing out of the top of this ball, the head section, and the ghost sheet will be attached. Now we can gently knot this. I like to make a double knot, so I'm just knotting these two tails together like I was tying my shoes. That's one knot and that's two knots. Then I'm going to thread up these tails and just poke them through in any direction through this head section. I'm going to go back down close to where I came out and just bring my needle through. We're just hiding these tails, and the same with the other one. Just in and out somewhere. Then we can trim these ends. If you pull them slightly taut, when you cut them, they'll spring back into the head and you won't be able to see them. Now we can go ahead and flip the sheet of the ghost over the head. And your little ghost chap should now be starting to come to life. This is the point at which we can start to add the super cute little face details. So grab your safety eyes and we're going to be adding them to the sheet section. I've just popped my finger inside in between the sheet and the head on the inside. Now counting our rows, we're going to be placing the eyes between rows 6 and 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is here. Find a gap in between rows 6 and 7 and just push through your first safety eye. Then grab the second one and we're going to leave 2 little gaps. Hopefully you can see here with my finger pushed behind. 1, 2, and then put the second eye in. Once you're happy with the placement, holding onto those eyes so they don't come out, flip the sheet around and then we can add the backs to the safety eyes. You want to push them on until they click. Then flip the sheet back round and you'll notice that the ball from the head gets in the way of the eyes. Don't worry about that for now, because once we finish the rest of the face details, we can push those eyes into the ball so they'll sit a bit more flat. So grab some yarn for the mouth. Now, if the yarn is a bit too thick for your liking, so for me personally, I found this double knit yarn was slightly too thick. What you can do is separate out the strands from the yarn. So I have some double knit yarn here, and I just want 2 of those strands. So it's more like embroidery floss than thick yarn. I'm just separating them out. And I'm just going to use 2 strands for a little bit of a thinner mouth because these little guys are so small. But I mean, this is personal preference. You don't have to do this. Use whatever yarn or embroidery floss that you have to hand. And we're going to thread this onto our needle. Now coming from the sheet, I'm bringing it up on the stitch right in between these 2 eyes here. I'm going to pull it through, but I'm going to leave a tail hanging out at the back. Then I'm going to go straight across down into that next stitch and pull it through, but don't pull it too tight just yet. Now I want a little smile, so I'm going to bring my needle from the underside and I'm going to aim to come out right below it in the stitch below, round about here. So I'm just coming from the inside and aiming roughly for this spot. I'm going to come up. I'm not pulling anything very tight at the moment, it's all quite loose. And then I'm going to come underneath the strands of the mouth and go right back into that same spot. Pull it down gently and it should create a little smile. Once you're happy with how your little smile is looking, turn it around again, flip it inside out, and I'm just going to gently knot these 2 tails together, just a little double knot. You could even do a triple knot if you prefer. So I'm just tying it like I'd tie a shoelace. So that's 1, 2, and if you want for a bit of extra security, do a 3rd knot. Then trim these ends. You're not going to see them because they're going to be on the inside of your little ghost. Flip it back around to make sure you're happy with how he's looking. And then we can add the blushy cheeks. So go ahead and thread up some pink yarn. I like to use a chunkier weight for this. And again, coming from the inside of this sheet section, I'm going to come out underneath as close to this little eye as I can possibly get. Pull it through, leaving a tail at the back. And then come down just 1 stitch across. Very, very simple. Then I'm going to do the same thing that we just did with the mouth. I'm flipping it back round. I'm going to make a very gentle knot, but a nice secure one. Trim those ends and repeat for the 2nd bit of cheek blush. Now make sure these eyes are sitting nice and flush. You can see the ends, they will want to crush in. Just line them up and give them a little squash so the posts of them are sort of lightly sticking into the ball head on the inside. Now to shape your little ghost, so he'll be looking a bit odd at the moment and we want him to have a bit more life in his sort of floaty sheet. What we're going to do is I'm pushing with my thumb into the head just to hold the head in the position and I'm bringing my hand down and I'm just going to squash him at the bottom. You'll feel very cruel doing this. This is also a great point at which to adjust these eyes. If they are sticking out in an odd direction, you can just manually adjust them there to make sure that they're looking cute and they're flat and he's not looking all boss-eyed and odd. You can also fluff up the cheek blush at this point if you want to as well. Whilst I'm crushing his little soul, I'm just taking my needle and I'm just lightly fluffing up that blush to make it look a little bit fuller. I tied my knots a bit too tightly and I pulled the yarn a bit too tightly. So I just want to give him a little bit of life back in these cheeks. There we go, that's a bit better. And then give him a crush and take your hand away. Now you can take these little folds of the sheet and pinch them. So I'm just pinching some little folds where I crushed. You can pinch him to give him as much life in his little sheet skirt section as you like. You can puff it up. Just doing a bit of gentle shaping. I'm literally just pinching and pushing his little skirt section. And then suddenly your little ghost, he comes to life. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you are now the proud owner of a super cute little ghost friend. Please do let me know down in the comments what you think of this little chap. And until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.